After literally 10 years of watching car rebuilds on YouTube, 6 months ago I decided it would be a great idea to spend a bunch of money I didn't really have on a crash damaged car and actually finish it for once.
I just bought it.
I've started plenty of projects over the years only to leave them half finished when the next shiny thing comes along. But this time I was determined. The car was in rough shape when I got it, but with only 30,000 kilometers on the clock, I knew it had potential. I have just bought a salvage title Audi S3.
Yeah, I've been wanting this forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra.
I bought this car from a salvage auction website called Manheim in Australia that deal with written off vehicles. This is a repairable write-off, meaning it can be put back on the road. If you've ever been in an accident and dealt with insurance, you might have found out that if the insurance company deems it not financially viable to fix your car, they'll pay you out for the value of the car. The insurance company then sell what remains of the car at auction to the public to either get fixed and put back on the road or to be used as parts. As you can see, all the damage is located at the front of the car. The damage isn't too bad and it looks like it's going to be a pretty cheap fix, but there is one big problem. We'll talk about that later. Starting off with the obvious. Both the front headlights are missing. This radiator support is bent and cracked in multiple different places. Here. The crash bar looks pretty dented in. We've got, I actually don't know if this is a oil cooler or coolant. Anyway, that's hit on the side. This is the vent on the left-hand side that's missing. If you're looking at the quarter panel, this is bent down here, but I think this is salvageable. On the right-hand side, it's a little bit different. It's not so bent at the front, but there is definitely a bit of a kink. You can feel that it's rolled outwards on the inside, but I think this is salvageable out of panel beaters. Aside from that, the hood is pretty twisted up. I don't want to put it down because it is scratching against the inside there, but also you can see that it's bowed out here as well. I don't think that's salvageable. We'll get a new one anyway because I don't really think that everything's going to line up even if it's straightened out. The hinges, I don't know whether or not they're straight, the bonnet hinges, but I think we'll get some new ones anyway. Here is the front bumper that was in the back of the car. And as you can see, things are looking a little bit skew-if. It actually, at first glance, I thought it wasn't too bad. However, this side is bent inwards. I don't know whether or not like maybe a heat gun and pulling it out will fix that. But the big sort of problems are, one, there's a little crack in here that I think a panel shop could fix, but the more significant problem is actually that crack just there. So I don't know how bad that would be to repair. At this point, I'm calling this a loss. It did arrive with the battery running, thank God. And under here, I've got both headlights. Let's take them out and have a look. Okay, so I've got some good news and some bad news. Both of the headlights were in the car, thankfully, and they don't look too damaged. The big thing is that all the electronics were still inside of them. They are both damaged, the right one probably being the worst of the two, because as you can see here, the actual mount where you bolt it to the car has snapped off. Apart from that though, it does look pretty good. On the left side, again, all the electronics are there. You can see here where they've marked out the damage on the headlight, but if you have a look, it's literally just the smallest scuff mark here, and on the bottom here, like, it's fine. The only significant bit on this is actually a crack in the bottom side just there, which is actually quite frustrating because I only just realized that one. So absolute worst case scenario, you know, we buy some donor headlights and swap everything over that don't already have the electronic pieces in them. At this point, you might be thinking, what did I get the car for? Did I get ripped off? And what is that bad damage? I'm going to show you the bad damage in just a second, but first I want to tell you a little bit about the car and take you inside. So this Audi is a 2017 Audi S3 that's pretty much fully optioned with everything except for the power seats for some reason. I don't know why you pay for every option except for that, but hey. If you're going to spend this much on a car, I don't understand why you wouldn't also opt in for the electric seats. This really bothers me, but I might have a solution. All right, so sitting in this car, it literally smells like a brand new car. The seats are in prime condition. The interior, all in all, is in quite good shape. There's still some dirt in the old plates. What's this? Guzman Y Gomez. In here, we've got a little Jesus card that looks severely sun damaged. Looks like the top of a cologne bottle. And in the glove box, nothing. If we turn it on, that seemed to come out really slow for some reason. I could hear that motor going, but anyway. All right, so the faults on the dash, as you can see, we've got 29,000. This car's done just shy of 30,000 Ks. We've got the panoramic sunroof, vehicle lights. Obviously, we've got no front lights connected. None of the airbags have actually gone off in this car, which is a really, really good thing. All right, so if we're looking through faults, switch engine off, check coolant level, see owner's manual, adaptive lights, add washer fluid, vehicle lights faults, safety system faults, see owner's manual. I don't have a scan tool at the moment, but I will buy one and we'll go from there. But all in all, the faults seem pretty standard. So this is my solution to the powered seats issue. This is my 2017 Audi A3 Sportline. And in this car, we have powered seats. So this car has been my daily driver for the past 2 to 3 years and has 120,000 Ks on it. And this car has 30,000 Ks on it. So in here, no coolant in there whatsoever. All right, so this does have oil in it. Does look a little bit black. Oh no, it actually looks pretty clean. Happy about that. Everything up until now looks pretty fixable, and you know, largely it is. But there is one thing that makes this car maybe not worth saving, and here it is. Right here is the crash bar. Right here is what I believe to be a chassis rail. This mark right here is a mark identifying some sort of damage. Now, I can't see any damage on this actual chassis rail. However, this was marked as structural damage in the PPSR check, which means that is a problem and really not a great one. So the chassis rail is a structural part of the car, which means that if it's bent, we need a panel beater to help either straighten it out, or if it's really bad, we actually need to drill out all of the spot welds that hold this to the frame of the car and cut it out and put a new one in, which actually is a massive job because it means engine out. I'll speak to a panel beater about it, but I am really hoping that we can just get a chain in around this bit and bend it out. First things first though, we should actually work out whether or not it is bent. So I've got a measuring tape and I'm gonna measure from corner to corner and see if there's any different measurements to see if it comes back bent or not. That's not bent, measuring from there to there, but that is definitely not the way to do it, and I got no idea what I'm doing. So I'm gonna search up some videos and then I'll do it again. We'll find out in the next video. Now, I did say this thing starts. We've got oil in it, got no coolant, so I'm not gonna leave it on for too long, but here it goes. So last time I was saying that I couldn't find a panel beater that was going to look at the chassis leg. Well, I finally found somebody, and because I don't have a way to cart this thing around, I've got a tow truck coming in the morning to pick it up and take it to the panel beaters to get looked at. But before that, we've got to remove the hood. And that's because of that scratch just in there, we've got the hood that's touching the pillar, and I don't want to keep lifting the thing up and down. So just to make it easy, we're going to get rid of it. We're going to get the gas strut off, the washer tubes off, and then we can start undoing it. So these washer bits just pull down from the side closest to the window. And we should be able to pull it all through this grommet. And clips. Go. Shit. Hood's off. Ready to be picked up in the morning. Oh, I'm interested to see how this will go. I'll let you know how we go with the panel beaters. Bye.
Just quickly, if you want to follow this build to the end, please consider subscribing. When this is done, I plan for it to be my daily driver and we will be modifying it. So please hit the button now and let's get cracking with the video.
I'm pretty stressed now because unlike a lot of YouTubers doing this content, I do not have a lot of money to shell out. I started this project as a bit of a dream, trying to fix up a car that I wanted to drive and share something with others. And share something with you. And a few people had thrown out wild numbers over the phone, between 5 and 10 grand just to fix this chassis rail. Or they just flat out said, we won't touch it. I don't have that kind of money, and I'm starting to think this might have been a bad idea. I've been stressing all day about what this chassis rail is going to cost me to fix. And it can be quite an expensive fix, so I've just gotten a call back from the panel beater. And, well... So Lincoln, one of the owners at CarLink, said it might be able to be put on a floor jig and bent back into shape. A jig is essentially something you set a car up on to pull a car frame back into position. This is by far our biggest issue with the car. If we can get away with a floor jig, it could cost us as little as $250. But floor jigs don't have the same pulling power as a bigger one, and if it goes on a bigger one, the labor costs could blow out.
Alright, so good news, we have the S3 back. And thankfully, the chassis rail is fixed. Now, there's a little bit to say here. After that first call where I thought it was going to be $250, $500 at max, I ended up getting a call that was actually a little bit demoralizing. I was told that the chassis rails were out by about 55 mil pushed this way, and tried it on the floor jig, didn't have enough pulling power, so they had to move it onto a normal jig. When they put it on a normal jig and started pulling, they got it down from 55 mil to just 15 mil, which was pretty good, but it still needed a little bit to do. And this is where we had to order a couple of parts to be able to finish things off. Because the crash bar is connected directly to the chassis rail and the radiator support sits right between that and the bolts to everything else, we had to essentially get those parts. So we got a brand new radiator support and a used crash bar. Oh my God, no. This is so dumb, but I just stuck the magnet for this microphone to my car and it's so strong I can't get it off. Pew! Now, in relation to cost, the problem actually lies in the fact that there is quite a bit involved just to take this front radiator support and the crash bar off. Crash bar is easy, just some bolts down here, but the radiator support has the lines for the air condenser wrapped through this. So you actually have to degas the system, meaning you've got no AC, and then you have to regas it afterwards. I got it quoted up, and parts included, it worked out to be about $2,200-ish. There were a couple of extra parts that I added after the fact that I think brought the total closer to about $2,500 with the tow. That was the bonnet hinges. It's not really worth trying to reuse the old bonnet hinges because you're not going to be able to tell whether or not these are bent themselves. And this radiator down here that's taken a bang for about $170 odd, which I thought was pretty good, but when it arrived, I'm actually not sure whether or not it's going to work. At first glance, everything looked okay, but it's definitely taken a hit down here. And if you can see just here, these fins look like they've taken a stone to it or something. And it does actually feel, you can see on my finger there, yeah, that's wet, and it's actually wet around this whole thing. All right, with the guard off, you can see a little bit more the damage here. That little chip there and that knock there is what I'm worried about. So pretty much what happens is you've got coolant that gets pumped through these, and a radiator is essentially designed to cool down the coolant that then gets cycled through your engine to cool down your engine. These little fins are what the air travels through to cool the coolant down. They go in through the pipes behind here, and then they run through these lengthways channels, which is why I'm concerned about this, because, well, as you can see, those two channels look bent. So I'm not sure if this is going to hold water. It doesn't look like it's leaking, but I'm still going to email CarLink because I think that potentially when some pressure gets put on this, it might leak then, or after a while, it might start it. Well, that is a bit frustrating. It sort of just happens when you're looking at used parts. The thing that makes it a little bit more frustrating is that CarLink are closed for Christmas now, so it's going to be like a month before I can get to that. I can't put the new hinges on just yet because I think the bolts down there are T50s and the highest I've got is T40s. So I'll order some of that and then I'll fix that. I did also find that in the passenger side, annoying, I also have this, OBD11. This video is definitely not sponsored, but OBD11 is essentially a scan tool that can check all the faults in our car. So the port goes under here, turn the ignition on for the car, open up our phone, press connect on the OBD11 app, reading control units. So while we wait, with that passenger side seatbelt, when you have a crash, usually the seatbelts will lock up if the airbags have gone off. Obviously the driver's one hasn't, but the passenger one, there's a little explosive inside the actual seatbelt mechanism that detonates and stops you flying through the windscreen or hitting your head on the steering wheel or the dashboard. Now, from my understanding, I think that that would only go off if somebody was sitting there. But obviously it's locked just like that, and it's very clear that no one was sitting there. So what I think's happened is that the driver's left something sitting on the seat here. The seat has recognized that there is a person sitting there, and the seatbelt's explosive has detonated in the crash. That's the only thing that I can think of. And if that explosive has gone off, we'll be able to tell within the OBD11 app when we scan everything. So let's do that. All right, we've got everything ready now. Tap that. 76 faults found. Okay, engine. So it does look like the driver's and the passenger igniters went off, or it says resistance is too high, but this one isn't locked, so I think that one might clear off. Let's clear all these faults, rescan it, and see what comes back. All right, so from 76 down to 14, I'm pretty happy with that. Yep, air conditioning we know about, central electronics. Look, we definitely need a passenger side seatbelt, but the driver side also rescanned, so I'm gonna assume that we still need that. So I guess from here, what parts do we still need? Well, we're gonna need both the seatbelts. We probably still need that radiator. We're gonna need a hood, a front bumper, the under part of the front bumper. There's also this little inlet bit here that's missing on this side. I have this little bit of trim that covers up the side there. On the Transport, the driver's side one got lost. I'm gonna need this clip that helps secure the front bumper to the quarter panel. We're gonna need to get both the quarter panels panel beaded from Kylink, but from that point, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get it taken for its safety inspection, register it, and then start modifying. And we're gonna fix up some of the damage on both the headlights with a plastic welder. Next week, I have to get both of my knees operated on, and I'm gonna feel pretty shitty about it and useless. So what I'm gonna do is try and do something. We're gonna take the path of least resistance and finally get this thing actually running. That and Darren wanted his shout out. What we got here is a secondary radiator. Now, the one on the car's been smashed in on the right-hand side, or well, the left-hand side, which means the car's leaking oil, so I can start it, but not very long because it gets too hot. The battery's also starting to drain, and I don't have a charger for it. I don't want to buy one. So I want to start this and get it running. Actually, for the very first thing, when I took this car to get the chassis rails realigned, they seem to have taken these jack pads off. Now I assume this is so they could have put it on the jig properly, but if you look here, you can see that these 4 prongs have actually been pushed out. The reason they get pushed out is so that when it sits up in the chassis, it doesn't come back out. So they're going to be hard to put in while that's already expanded. So I'm just going to rinse it with some oil and use the jack and see if it works. Crummy sink. So essentially this little bit here is that jack point that I've got lined up. I'm just using the jack to squish it back into the chassis rail. And we lower it back down, pull the jack out, and we can jack the car back up from here. And we'll do that to the other side. I hate spiders, I gotta clear this shit out first. All right. Oh, there's so many spider webs. Oh, I hate that. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. You know, I think most of my viewership's from the States, right? And what they say about spiders in Australia, I just want to let you know, it's true. Today, I was going to work, and I don't know, you know what? Oh God. But today when I was at work, I went like out the back door, and for whatever reason, I don't know, Queensland in particular has like the biggest cross spiders I've ever seen. Like I walked nearly straight into it. It's just like suspended, because if you don't see the bloody web, it's just like suspended in mid-air. Anyway, I also had to get, it was like a huntsman. There's pretty big, fast spiders, like the size of your hand sort of thing. There we go. Anyway, there was, huntsmans like to live in things and find like hiding spaces. I had to get my roommate, the girl, to kill one when it was like crawled up at the front of this car. All right, so the radiator sits like this. There's 3 bolts I can see. One just here, one back in there, one just here as well. There's another one just here, and I don't really know how I'm gonna get to it. That's righty-tighty, left. Oh wait, no, that's tightening. That's loose. Do it. That's loose. I remember choosing between these ratcheting spanners that I have that like articulate and the ones that don't articulate. And here's a prime example. Like, look at that. See the articulation on that? Buy the articulating ones. I've got to take that radiator out of this housing so I can actually get to the bolt behind it. Oh,
Using vice grips to get hose clamps off is not the way to do it. Like, it works and it's fine, but when you're in tight places like this, like, there really is something to be said for getting like the right tool for the job. Oh, there we go. Gonna use this little hook pick to help us loosen up the hose pipes. Oh, you know what would help? Making sure that air can get through, which will decompress make these pipes easier to pull off. Come on, like, it's moving back. It's just, I don't know why, but even like the simplest things on cars are like not so simple when you start doing them. You think, this will take you 2 seconds. And then it's like 3 days later and your daily driver's still not daily driving. Okay, there's one. I can't even yank on this one. This one's... All right, I can't get this out. There's 2 bolts under here. I'll get them off and we'll try and pull this away from this plate. It's 2. Okay. It's 3 a.m. and I'm calling. It's just not moving. Oh, there we go. Hang on. There we go. Done. All right, it's really dark, so I'm sorry, but if you look on the right-hand side of the car, you'll notice that this air duct that goes to the radiator looks a little different to this one. It looks like there's a big chunk missing off this side here. Now, that's because on an A3 that just isn't working as hard as the S3, these vents here are actually blocked. The radiators underneath don't need to get as much airflow if they're stock. Whereas if you have a look at what I got left of the S3 bumper, you'll see that that's vented. And on the side, there's little slits here to allow airflow to get to those radiators. I'm surprised we even have this, but this unrecognizable mess is what we have left of our duct. Not much. But I did manage to find a part number on it. It essentially means that radiator's come off an A3, which is completely fine. It'll work fine, we just need a different duct. So when I finally have some money, I'll order that part too and we'll chuck it on. Oh, I'm getting tired. My knees are hurting. They're sore. Now we're just gonna take this radiator out of its little hidey hole and put it on that other bracket that isn't damaged. Oh, I'm gonna get up. Oh. I understand why these hoses are like hard to pull off, but far out, it's annoying. I used to have a 335i BMW, one of the E92s, and it gave me nothing but trouble. And so when I bought that A3, I actually bought it because I was like, I need me a car that ain't gonna cause me any problems. I'm not gonna tune it, I'm not gonna modify it. It's just gonna get me from A to B and I'm gonna treat it like a normal car. And then for whatever reason, after a little while owning that, I decided, yeah, let's buy a project car again. Because to me, the uninitiated, when I say uninitiated, I mean those of us that don't rebuild Porsches in 24 hours.
Today, we're gonna try and rebuild it in 24 hours.
Can't see anything, but look at that. No holes. The amount of time it takes me to do a small thing is ridiculous. Like, Matt would have this done in 20 seconds. Let's get this into place. Ooh. Just putting this washer in a little bolt underneath the radiator, and I'm turning it the wrong way again. Oh, no, I was turning it the right way. If we get a few likes on this thing, I'll do it again with a motorbike. Even though I can't afford this. Let's mix some coolant and see if it leaks. I nearly forgot to put these bolts back on. Thoroughly washed. Slightly smells like milk. 50-50 mix. Look at that. You know, I really hope this thing doesn't have any other leaks. Still a bit of coolant. Whoopsies. And check it out, no leaks. All right, let's give it a little rev. And there we go, jack pads are in,
We've got the radiator in, the car's not overheating. Is a little bit wet, but that's just because I got a little rev happy. I was pretty excited. Kind of feels like the first time the thing's actually like running more or less properly. Coolant looks a little bit dark to me, so I'm gonna flush the system. I don't know if it's just dirty. Today we're gonna pick up seat belts. We're at the wreckers and we're gonna pull them out.
I actually got a bit of a steal here. Brand new seat belts are $1,200 for the both of them. Generally, the used ones I found are about $600 for the both of them. These ones, $90 each.
We'll get the seat belts out. We're gonna go home and I'll tell you the plan on what we're gonna do with these because it's not as straightforward as you think.
We're home. I got both of the seatbelts here. I got these from supposedly a non-crash damaged car. If I bought them from a crash damaged car, even if the airbags haven't gone off, the safety systems in the seatbelts will fire, making them absolutely useless. If you're in the States or the UK, you can get these fixed by a professional, but not in Australia. The other thing that could happen with these seatbelts is I could put them in the car and I might still have to get one of the modules reset. Now, I'm pretty sure that's not the case. I'm pretty sure I can put these new seatbelts in. Fault codes should go away. Currently, if we scan the car, we've got 17 faults. A lot of this is related to like the headlights and some sensors that aren't connected at the moment. But if we go into airbag and then click the faults, you'll see that both the driver and the passenger seatbelts are gone. Let's pull the trims off, put in the used ones and cross our fingers that those ones work. Now, usually I break some of the clips here, but thankfully at the wreckers, I got a chance to have a look at how these things clip together before I rip my own one apart. So hopefully I don't break anything. It's good practice to try and use plastic trim removers to take apart the trim, but almost every time I've tried to use the plastic ones, the plastic's quite bendy and I actually can't get enough leverage to be able to pop the clips out. Second option would be to use a metal one, but cover it with a rag. There we go. There's some of it. I've taken this piece off and it looks like I haven't, fingers crossed, haven't broken anything. I can't actually pull it out though because this seatbelt is stuck. So, okay, actually I can't get this next piece out either because I can't like pull it away far enough. So I'm gonna unbolt that and then I'll tie this up here and hopefully that doesn't go any further back. I didn't even know if I needed to tie that. There goes a clip. Lucky. Yo, it's Amy. That yellow clip there is essentially the sensor that plugs into the seat belts. Grab that plug and give it a wiggle until it comes out. Do the same for this one. All right. All I've got to do is pull this piece off, unbolt the seat belt here and here, pull this one out, put the new one in. How? Oh, come on! Fuck! Far out, this small job is defeating me again. I'm sweating. Siri, torch on.
Okay, I've turned torch on.
Whew. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna take that bolt out there. I'm gonna take that bolt out there. And I'm gonna replace this seatbelt here. That big fat one goes on the top. So this is a new seatbelt we're putting in. That's one loose thing, and I'm gonna do that side and see when it's ready to plug in. Come on, there we go. Contortionist. That one was so much easier to get off. I'm no genius, but you might find this useful. So this is kind of how you tell whether or not your seatbelt's gone. So this is the one that I've just taken out, and if you have a listen when I shake it, real rattly. This is the new one that I'm hoping is good, and no rattle. So that's a good sign. One of the two new ones did kind of sound a little bit
worrying. So I'm not 100% sure, and I also don't know if we might potentially need to get an SRS module reset on the car from Audi as well. All right, everything's in. It's time to plug them in and rescan the car. Fingers crossed. 1, 2. So here's where the moment of truth comes in. I've just scanned the car. We still got the 2 seatbelt lights from before, and we'll go clear and rescan. Gone, baby, gone. If we look at the codes now, yeah, it's all stuff that's not plugged in. Woohoo! I was really worried about that, and considering that a used singular one is usually $300 and a brand new one $600, to get these for $90 each, and they are perfect. Woo woo! I'm gonna put it all back together, and then let's get on to fixing those headlights. Here's the headlights, and here's everything we're gonna use to fix them. This is the better headlight out of the 2. If I flip it over, we've got a broken mounting hole here, and just here we've got a crack in the plastic. Now this second headlight's a little bit worse. So the mounting point here has actually snapped off. Now, lucky for me, Audi actually sell these, which are headlight repair kits. If you look at the bottom of the headlight, you'll see these 1, 2, 3, and there's a 4th one on the broken piece. Stems sticking out. Now what they're for is, I guess these mounting points are designed to break in an accident to try and save the headlight. This is our replacement mount that's essentially gonna line up with these posts here, and we're going to screw 1, 2, 3 in there, and that's going to be our new mounting point. Best thing about it is that because it's mounted downwards, all the pressure from the headlight actually pushes down onto the mount, but we can't leave this open. So with the old mount, we're going to cut pretty much along that line there, use these 2 broken bits of plastic here and here to seal up the open hole here and here with some plastic bonder. Alright, now I really don't want to stuff this up because I don't really have any other plastic that I can use for this. So we're going to pray we do it right. So to start, I'm going to cut through all these grooves, and then on this side I'm going to cut it clean off through there. Alright, got the 2 pieces, and we're going to prepare the area for the plastic bond. I've got some 80 grit sandpaper, and what we're going to do, we're going to sand all this area here, everywhere it touches on here, and of course the headlight there and on the side. The reason we're sanding this down is to give the JB Weld a really rough area to help it grab on and bond the 2 pieces of plastic together. If you don't do this, it will still work, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. We're going to clean it all out with a bit of rubbing alcohol, and then we're going to use the JB Weld. I haven't used this before, but didn't read the instructions. Sets in 15 minutes, cures in 30 minutes. Now I've got to work fast because this cures in 15 minutes apparently. So that's one hole. And there we go. We've got to wait for these to cure at least overnight. While we're waiting for that to cure, let's pull out these junk pieces and replace it with this. Slide that in. So there's a bolt that goes through this that actually mounts the headlight to the car. And this piece sits inside of this. Now, the piece you saw me cut off is here, and you can see it's got a thread in there. Now on the replacement part, there is no thread, which is annoying because I don't have a thread tapper. But we'll have the headlights in soon, and for now the hard part's actually done. See you next time. Now today is a great day because we are finally putting it all together. This car is no longer going to look like an absolute mess. We're fitting the hood, the bumper, and we're finally fixing up those headlights for
look good. New hood and bumper. I managed to get the same color hood as the original one. As for the bumper, I thought it would look much better to get an RS3 style front bumper. The main difference being the holes are a little bit bigger on the RS3 style bumper than this one. Now this thing is not painted and we will have to do that eventually. So this thing comes with a few parts. How good does that look? Just to give you a bit of an idea, that is the S3 grille. Instead of the grille going from the front, I think it comes from the back, which means I think this piece here is literally just for support. So I think I just need to cut it off. I paid 1,000 Australian for this, which was in my mind a little bit much, but when compared to the price of a normal S3 bumper, it's actually pretty on par and it looks just that bit better. I bought this one from Body Kit Kingdom. They did give me a bit of a discount, and it's a little bit interesting to me that once you buy the bumper, you've got to do a bit of cutting to make things fit. The bumper itself is made of the same plastic as on the OEM bumper, so fiberglass, if you give it a good hit, it'll just crack, it won't flex. I'm sweating, but how good does that look? Those grills are wide. And just here you can see how good the RS3 bumper looks compared to the S3 bumper. And stick around because next time I'm actually going to be painting this myself with absolutely no experience. Next up was to pull all the parking sensors and the headlight washers off the old bumper and put them on the new one. Got everything off, but I realized that the left washer jet is actually missing the top of it. Even when I was taking the right one off of the cover, I accidentally snapped the side pieces off. So I'm gonna need 2 of these, but for now I'm just gonna leave these covers like that and continue. I've just noticed the difference between the RS3 and the S3 bumper. If you have a look at the S3 bumper, we've got 1, 2, and 3 parking sensor locations. And on the RS3, 1, 2, and no third. Okay, so here's the thing. All of the parking sensors are like flat, right? Except when you get to this side one, it's like indented. But I will definitely have to drill a hole in this to be able to stick it on, because it's gonna be a lot harder for me to be able to cancel out the extra parking sensors from the wiring loom. On the old bumper, these are what the parking sensors clip into. We're gonna use a heat gun to get them off of this one, and then use some JB welds to plastic bond it to the new bumper. This is a drill bit to make holes. It's called a step-up bit, I think. You start drilling and then gradually it'll make the hole bigger and bigger. We need to make it as big as this. So if we measure it loosely, it's about 19 mil. So if we cut it to 18, we should be all right. I've made a little mark. I spent a lot of money on this bumper, so wish me luck. I've just dropped $1,000 on this bumper, and drilling these holes, I do not want to stuff them up. But I bought this car to challenge myself to do new things and put myself outside my comfort zone. After a very quick sand around the inside, you can see we fit perfectly. It actually holds itself in there. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. The only thing was I had to make sure it was far enough down so it was actually going to clear all of this piece here. So hopefully I measured that right. These two look a bit closer than those two, but hey, as long as it works, I'm pretty happy. All right, so now we're going to use some JB Weld to glue these little black pieces so it'll actually hold the bumper sensors. But if you remember from last time, I still haven't finished the headlights, so we're going to do both at the same time. Here we go. Now with these headlights, it's going to be a bit of a game of operation. Last time we used JB Weld, which is plastic bond, to bond the broken pieces of the headlight together. In the end, I wish I didn't buy these repair tabs. They're about 200 Australian, and I could have just gotten away with the JB Weld. That is stuck on there. I've never used JB Weld before. This is like amazing to me. Anyway, I still have to sand these tabs down because at the moment, this isn't fitting. Also on this replacement tab, there's no thread in it. So my plan is to sand down the thread and pop it in with some JB Weld. That'll definitely be strong enough to hold the headlight. And remember, there's 3 other mounting points for the headlight. Got it through. If there's one thing I've learned from this, JB Weld is way stronger than I thought it was, and it's completely fine. And to hold in these parking sensors, we're gonna get these clips off the old bumper, clip the sensor into place, and then hold it on with JB Weld to permanently mount it to the bumper. All right, so JB Weld. Squirt the tube in. This JB Weld is plastic bonder. It's a 2-part solution with plastic and activator that helps harden the mix. Mix it around for a little bit, apply it to the broken area, and then let it sit. Once it's cured, you can even sand it down. We have made a lot of progress, and I am absolutely stoked with this front bumper. I really feel like this is an achievement. I know it's a small thing, but it's something that I've never done before, so it feels kind of special to me that I was able to do that. It's the next day, and we have some results. This is the new tab, and as you can see, pretty damn sturdy. And here is the very messy job that I've done with the plastic weld on the back of this. And from the other side, it looks completely fine. Let's move on with the hood. First part of getting the hood off is taking the washer blades off. So we need a special tool to grab onto the wiper blade and then push it out. While you're watching me struggle with these wiper blades, if you like this content, you're watching Built, Not Bought, and this is one video in a series of videos rebuilding cars. I'm rebuilding this one for me. As soon as this is done, I've really been missing the motorbike I've sold. So if you want to follow along this series, hit the subscribe button. We also have Turbo Tales, where we talk about engineering, car culture, and car news. Putting the bumper on now, just screwing in the bolts and leaving it in loose. Alright, so the hood is on, and if you look at this side, it all lines up fairly well. The hood's not latched. I've found out that the hood latch on this side seems to be broken or bent. It's not latching properly. But when you look at this side, you see it's a little bit wide, little bit wide, little bit wide, wide. Oh, it's horrible. You can see that this is actually bent out that way. This should be straight. You shouldn't be able to see any of this. Admittedly, now I'm starting to get a bit stressed. I have that thing booked in for an inspection on the 1st of May, which I'm now thinking it's not gonna be ready in time. It needs a roadworthy certificate before then. But hey, it's all a learning experience, and I didn't buy this car to make profit on it. I bought it to drive it. So, all right, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm gonna heat that metal on the side here and just try and push this fender. I don't really know if that's gonna work, but so far it's my best bet. When I saw this was bent, I was stressed out. I'm running all this on very little money, so each thing that goes wrong just makes the pressure build that much more. I make it look quick here, but I spend hours heating and pushing and heating and pushing and heating and pushing and heating and pushing till I finally got it to a point that looked pretty damn good. I am pretty happy with this. Take a look. This is the good side. This is the bad side. Keeping in mind, this hood isn't latched still. This hood latch won't open fully. So if I close it, I'm not gonna be able to get the bonnet open again. For a few hours spent heating and pushing on a panel, I am pretty stoked with the way this has turned out. I still do need to line the hood up. It's definitely sitting too high, but I think we put the headlights in and see how it looks. Oh, look at that. Oh, I am absolutely stoked about this. Look, I'm just gonna say, I started this like months ago. Like I bought this late last year and it is finally nearly ready. To be this close feels so good. Good news, I got 2 new washers. Bad news is they're the wrong ones. This is the one I pulled off the car. As you can see, it's flat out at the edge, meaning this is just not gonna fit on the car, which is damn annoying. But I do have some good news. This is the hood latch, and as you can see, when you pop the hood or the bonnet, that happens, but it's meant to go all the way up like that. Having a look at this, do you see that pit right there, right next to my thumbnail? It's just pushing on the edge there. So I think I might be able to get a pick and pull that out. Absolutely manglated that rubber bit, but look, pops all the way up. So I'm just gonna cut that little piece off and then chuck it back in the car and it should work. Now I'm gonna spend some time lining the bonnet up because it's just a bit low here and just a bit high here. Now just below here where we replaced the radiator, we actually got it off an A3. Now the duct that directs the air towards the radiator is different on the A3 compared to the S3. So we've got a brand new S3 one to put on just to match the other side. Pretty nuts this thing isn't held in by bolts or anything. But now that matches that, let's test fit the bumper. My only concern with putting the bumper on is this cruise control sensor. Now, this bracket pushes that further back. Supposedly we need this to be able to fit the RS3 bumper. The thing is, if you misalign that sensor with the battery connected, or even shift it around at all, supposedly you need to take that to Audi to get recalibrated. Now with OBD11, I did see a setting in there to recalibrate it, but I don't really know if that's gonna work, and I don't really wanna stuff around with it if I don't have to. So let's fix it up. As I was saying here, this is definitely pretty low. So I think I'm gonna disconnect the battery and then pull this up. I saw a couple of YouTube videos about this, but it really was just as simple as bolting it on and off. All it does is raise the sensor up higher to be in line with the RS3 style bumper. And it's all lowered down. Putting the bumper on, I'm a little bit worried. It is an aftermarket bumper, and as we all know, they usually don't fit pretty well. But I will admit, I have been pleasantly surprised with the quality. Okay, it's finally on. Yeah, the bumper's still gonna need some finagling and whatever. It's popping out on both sides, but that is okay. We can sort that out. As you can see here, this is much more in line. It is looking much more like an actual car now. Last thing for the night before I pack up is I'm gonna scan the fault codes and see if anything comes up, because everything should be clear. I've got all the sensors plugged in. I am a little bit worried about that cruise control sensor and whether or not it gives me the misaligned fault code, but really this should clear everything. Fingers crossed and knock wood. It is officially past my bedtime. I'm just plugging in the OBD2. It is 10:52. I know that noise. That's Audi's very bad noise. Huh. Staring at the screen in front of me, I can see transmission faults, engine faults, tire pressure faults, everything. There was a lot of faults that just came up. 32 faults. I thought it might be because I disconnected the battery, so I thought I'd clear the codes. I'm gonna go ahead and clear these, but it didn't work. It's late at night, I have work tomorrow. I was on a high thinking that everything was done, and then this. First, we're going to tackle all those fault codes that came up when we turned the car on last time. So I don't have any fault codes anymore, and all I did... So it turns out with most Audis, when you disconnect the battery, it'll throw up all those codes. And the way to fix it is by literally turning your wheel lock to lock, and they'll immediately go away. But today, one of you actually reached out and asked me, have I already painted this bumper? And when I asked why, this was the answer I got. I own a panel shop on the Gold Coast if you need a place to paint it. Now, I've never painted anything like this that's actually mattered before. This is definitely new to me. So obviously, I'm a little bit worried about this because this bumper matters. This car matters to me, and I want it to look really nice. To start off, we're taking the bumper off and taking all the grille pieces out, so we're left with only the pieces that we're going to be spraying. Take the parking sensors out, piece that connects the bumper to the under tray. We'll take the big grille at the front, the side grills, and the little trim pieces at the bottom. Now all that's left is the bumper as we got it, with none of the grills in and the headlight washer jet covers. Pretty nervous about painting this, but you're never gonna learn if you don't try, so I'll see you there. This is Josh from Spectrum Auto Refinishing, and he has very gracefully let us use his paint booth. We've got it all sanded down to a point that I'm fairly happy with. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but Josh is gonna be giving me a hand with how to do everything, ready to mix up all the paint. This is basically a wall of mixing paints. Get a color sample of the color that you're trying to mix off the car, put that into the computer system, which will then tell you how much of what color paint you need to mix that specific color, and then grab those colors straight off the wall to mix together.
And you're gonna mix the color. No pressure, but don't stuff it up, because the more accurate you get your weights, the more accurate the color is going to be.
Okay.
We use what's called a spectrophotometer to create our colors. Essentially, got a series of lenses on the inside of it, like a little special camera, I suppose.
Right.
And yeah, it takes the color reading of the paint sample, and then it'll come up into the computer here. Got the all the tints that are required to make that color. These colors are down to 0.1 of a gram. Basically, 0.1 of a gram is, that's probably about 0.1 of a gram, maybe 0.2 of a gram there.
And he's telling me I've got to paint it. I've got to mix it.
Before I mix up this paint, 99.5% of the people that watch this channel aren't subscribed. For those that don't know, this is Built, Not Bought, where I rebuild cars for your entertainment and my fun. We also have Turbo Tales, where we take deep dives into car culture, stories, and engineering. So be sure to like and subscribe to join the community. Let's get on with mixing the paint.
Okay, so 239. All right, let's give it a shot.
These measurements are to such a small amount. We're trying to mix our white, so any variation could change the tint of the paint. The first one, if I stuffed it up, we could pour it back and try again. But pouring the second one, we're all in. It's really hard to put into words just how sensitive the scales were and just how precise you need to be. You actually need to close the lid a good amount of time before you want the weight to stop climbing because it still drips. And this is the last tint. 0.1 grams of blue. If my hand slips and a lot of paint flows through, I'll ruin this mix. 0.1 of a gram is literally a drop, but thankfully we managed to do it.
Done. This is literally 0.1 of a gram of blue. It's like barely 2 droplets. That was nerve-wracking. To say the least, honestly. I was really worried I was going to stuff that up.
See it all coming together. You can see that metallic, that silver in there.
Mixing in, even the yellow.
It really changes quite a lot. Look, now we've basically got a silver.
Wow. There is a few points on here that I'm worried about, particularly this piece where you're actually spraying in here. I don't know how you're meant to get to that, but I guess we'll try our best.
Now that we've sanded it, we're going to blow all the air off and move it into the paint booth. Best thing about a paint booth is it sucks all of the particles that just float about out of the air.
So inside this large contraction here, we've got a massive intake fan on the left-hand side, and then we've got an exhaust fan on the right-hand side. Basically, this fan here is going to be blowing fresh air into the roof cavity of the booth. That's going to push fresh, clean, filtered air down into the booth, and then the exhaust, and that's going to draw all the contaminated air and paint particles through the floor filters, and then it'll go up through additional filters inside and then out the roof.
Now that it's in the booth, we're going to give it another clean down and then spray over some anti-static spray because, as you know, dust sticks to static and it's pretty much the enemy of spray paint. And lay down the first coat. Josh did the side that you can't see just to show me how to spray it and how far away that I needed to be to the bumper.
We've got the base coat on, and essentially this is the first layer of paint that the actual color is going to stick to. And look, I think we did pretty well.
We'll spray another coat of paint to completely cover the bumper, wait about an hour for that to cure, come back with some clear coat, spray over some clear coat, and then give it about 15 minutes between coats. Josh gave me a fair amount of guidance between coats to make sure that I did get the areas that I was previously missing out on as well. I did ask Josh to do the very last part for me. I hadn't got any runs and I was super happy, so I didn't want to stuff it up at this point.
And check this out. All right, now, as you saw, I didn't do the very last coat. Josh did that because I was worried I was going to stuff it up, but all in all, I managed to do a fair amount of this as well, thankfully. And yeah, I feel very blessed to have somebody reach out and actually let me use like a proper paint booth and everything. Pretty much from here, I've got to build the bumper back up, put it back on the car. It's got to get a roadworthy certificate to say that it's safe to drive on the road. It's got to go for its inspection. And once all that's done and dealt with, we're ready to actually register it and drive it. Could I leave this here overnight to cure, and we'll come back for it tomorrow.
Ooh. Just to give you an idea of the color match, this is the old bumper and this is the headlight washer cap from the new one that we've just painted. And as you can see, I think maybe you can tell a bit of a difference, but also that could be because this bumper is a little bit dirty. We're on a bit of a time attack now, and you've seen me clip this all in before, so we're going to do it really quickly, and it's looking much more like a bumper already. Now, we're going to move on to installing the washer jets that were both broken on the old bumper. Pretty much, we've got these little yellow tabs. On these, you can see that little guide pin just there. You can see those guide pins help hold it in the right place. On this, we don't have the guide pins, so we used a drill to drill in the guide holes that were missing from the new bumper, screwed in the headlight washers, then grabbed the headlight washer caps and installed them. And how good does this look? It makes such a difference when a bumper's painted. I can't wait to put this on the car. Now we're just adding the last little bits back. I'm happy with the way the hood's aligned and everything. So these are the next parts. Before I put the washer blades on, I think I'll put the washer blades on last. Let's do the bumper. All right. Nothing in the washer jets and connect them up. When I was clipping the bumper to the fender, I realized that one of the holes didn't line up, so I had to whip out the drill. And look at this. Oh my gosh. This is genuinely hard for me to look at. This has been months and months and months in the making, and it's finally coming together. Well, it's finally come together. Just gotta do some final bits and pieces. Gotta put the headlight washers back on and some of the trim pieces under the bonnet. I'm gonna wipe this down as best I can as well because we have a roadworthy in the morning between 7 and 8 a.m. The only thing I'm not too happy with is this panel gap just here. As you can see, the fender's in a little bit and the bumper's out a little bit, but that's because this fender was bent inward a little bit. Now, because both the fenders are slightly off, I will get 2 new fenders eventually, but for the time being, this is fine and I can drive the car as is until I find some completely dead straight fenders. Gonna put the wiper blades back on and make sure they're on snug. And now we're on to the last part. These 2 covers are literally the last things to go on this. I kind of can't believe it. It's, you know, taken me months and months and months to get to this stage. And that's it. This is actually done. And it looks mental. Oh my God. I'm not going to celebrate too much because it is 11:43 p.m. I do have work tomorrow and I gotta get up early for this roadworthy certificate, but damn. No words. Probably the next time I'll see you is actually driving this to get its written off vehicle inspection. Today is the day of reckoning. The S3 is finally going for its check. The inspection site's about an hour away, but in the mornings, because of work, it's 2 hours away. And we get to drive it there. I couldn't tell you how it goes. 1 out of 4 cars, I think, fails the first time. All right, first drive in the S3. I'm a little bit worried it's gonna break down or something. It feels kind of wrong to drive because it's not registered, but I've got all the paperwork to be able to drive it to the inspection site. Finally, I'm so ready to be driving this thing on the daily. I tried my best to plead my case and get the car registered the same day or get it inspected the same day so I could go and register it. But that didn't work, and so now we're at the train station and it's gonna take me probably 2.5 hours to get back. I woke up at a ridiculous time this morning to pick this thing up, but it did pass its written off vehicle inspection, which is great. 1 out of 4 cars fails the first time around. Now we're gonna go down to register it, and then we're gonna go over everything that this cost me and whether or not it was actually worth it as a complete beginner. But the car's not perfect, so let's have a chat about everything wrong with the car. So there are still a few things that need to be fixed with this, but for the most part, everything's all right and it's very drivable actually. There's really just 2 things that need to be fixed, one of which, I know it doesn't look too bad, but you can see just in there on the fender, there's a small chip. This fender was actually pushed inwards during the crash. When I joined the bumper to the fender here, the hole in the bumper to put the screw through was actually in the wrong place. So I did have to drill into this a little bit, but I think it's just still a little bit off. It needs to go just back, just a touch. The other thing is I've been driving this without aircon, and I'm in the Gold Coast in Australia, and when you're in stop-start traffic, as it often is here, with the sun coming down through the sunroof, it does get hot and I do sweat. All in all though, I've been really happy with how this thing's been driving. I mean, It's essentially a brand new car. I noticed in the used hood that I bought, there's a couple of dents in it, like it's very small divots. It's too dark to see, but there is a little bit of damage on the side skirt from where the car's been forklifted on and off the trailer. But there's not much I can do about that, and thankfully it's just underneath the car, so you can't actually see it. Now it's time to talk about what this thing actually costs to rebuild. All right, so the question you've all been waiting for, how much did this thing cost me? Starting with all the parts and the services cost, the very first thing I paid for when I bought the car was transporting it home. That tow cost me $385. The next thing, and by far the most expensive thing I paid for, was the chassis rail straightening, and that cost me $2,226. Plus the transport to and from the body shop, which was another $240. The bonnet I bought, which was already white, thankfully, cost me $880. If you've been watching, you'll know I have an RS3 style bumper. I bought that unpainted, so it was gray, and I bought that for $959. And then I spent only $100 to paint the bumper myself because Josh from Spectrum Auto Refinishing actually let me use his paint booth. I had to pay for the paint, but that was it. And even then, I think I used more than $100 worth of paint. Next thing that was broken was the auxiliary radiator. Brand new, by the way, that would have been about 800 Australian, and used, I got it off an older model A3 for $172. Next was one of the headlight mounts, cost me $1980, and the full headlight repair kit that I bought to be able to repair the driver's side headlight because the mount had actually snapped off. This was actually kind of expensive. It was $196.90. I ended up using the JB Weld to put it back in place, and I mean, that would have been fine to begin with. I didn't need to buy this at all, so I could have saved myself about $200 there. But I bought it and I did use it. Next thing was the headlight washers. When I went to fit the bumper, I realized that one of them was snapped and the other one I snapped trying to get the cover off. So those together, those actually weren't too bad. Those cost me $121. The next thing I saved a bunch of money on was actually the seat belts. Now, keep in mind I needed 2 seat belts, both of the front ones. Both of them had locked up in the accident. So brand new, those seat belts were $600 each. After a lot of messaging around, I managed to find somebody who was gonna give me them for $100 each. I got these for $200. I saved $1,000 on those. Next thing was, because I bought that auxiliary radiator from an older A3, it did come with the radiator duct, but it wasn't the same one on the S3. So I did order this brand new from Audi, and it was $116. Then there was 2 sets of nuts and bolts. One cost $18, the other $71. The next thing after I put the whole car together was getting a roadworthy certificate, and that cost me $120. After that, I had to get a WOVI check or a QAS check on the car that cost me $484. That one was a bit steep, but when a car gets written off, that's essentially the check that makes sure that cars don't get rebirthed, so you have to do that. Then I spent $820 on registration and taxes for this car, giving the grand total of $7,128 spent on parts alone. So this definitely wasn't cheap. As for the cost of the car, I was bidding on this at auction, and I do think I overpaid a little bit, but that came to $20,224. I actually won it for $17,500, but plus all the auction fees, that's what it worked out to be, giving us a grand total of $27,352. Looking at the cheapest Audi S3 facelift that is on the market at the moment, it is $26,500 and it's got 140,000 Ks. But you've got to remember, this car only has 30,000 Ks on it. I bought it with 29,000. It ticked over when I had to drive it to the inspection. So if we put 40,000 Ks as a max and then hit search, the cheapest then becomes $43,000 with 33,200 Ks. Mine's got slightly less than that, 3,000 Ks less than that. Now, keeping in mind, this car is gonna have a repaired write-off title on it. I do think the value of the car would be around the mid-30s. given it's got such low Ks, and even if it's not, I've definitely made money on it either way. But making money on it wasn't my main concern. That's not why I did this. See, I bought this car for me. About 6 months ago, I was sitting there thinking, I need to do something. I just spent 6 hard months working out almost every day, well, 5 days a week, in the gym, and found out what hard work actually pays off. And I started to think, well, I can apply that to anything. I wanted to start making YouTube videos, and I kept making excuses after excuses after excuses. And ever since I was in high school, I've been watching people rebuild cars on YouTube. It's like I've idolized it and I've wanted to do it for so long. Wow. Okay. I remember watching this in high school. I don't know if you can see that, but this is Beers for Build building his Lotus Evora. That was 9 years ago, and ever since then, car rebuilds have taken over my For You page on YouTube. It's been insane. I wanted to give it a try, and I feel damn accomplished because I did it. So what's next? Well, my partner's watched me do this whole thing and seen that I've saved some money, and she wants to give it a shot too. So I'm not gonna say what car it is, but we are going to be buying another crash damaged car, and it will be soon. As soon as I find the right one, we're gonna be bidding on it. All right, now look. For me, this started 6 months ago. I was sitting on a balcony and I just thought to myself, do you know what? If I just commit to this thing and then do it, it'll actually be done. Like if I just throw myself in the deep end with something that I don't have enough money for, I'll be able to get it done if I try hard enough. And I remember sitting on that balcony, picturing it right at the end, and how good it would feel to have done something so hard that not many people have done. For whatever reason, this has been in my head for such a long time, and I feel extremely grateful to have gotten this done. And even though there's only a few of you guys watching, it means a lot to me that you are watching. You're watching built, not bought. Roll the clip. So I haven't been feeling great lately. I moved up to Queensland, 1,800 Ks away from my hometown. And, you know, I just started thinking, today I want to do something for myself. So I am going to buy a crash damage motorbike. I want an S1000RR, and I'm going to do it for me, and I'm going to rebuild it on YouTube so I can prove to myself that I can do something fun, and I don't care what it costs. I'm going to get it done and just prove to myself and do something for myself to make me feel good. I'm excited, and just remember, it'll all work out.